Welcome to the Gang Tackle, where we blitz every down and never play prevent defense. I am Donji Young, alongside Brandon B-Trill and Dylan Schatzel. Last week we talked about pressure. This week we're talking consequences. The draft is approaching, free agency is active, front offices are making moves right now that will define what we see in September. Tonight we're separating aggressive franchises from hesitant ones. So let's get into it, fellas. I got a couple questions that I want to start off with you guys at first, if you do not mind. So with that being said, we'll go right into our opening drive. So, what are some of the moves this offseason, either maybe draft or free agency, that completely changes a franchise's trajectory? Now, I'm not talking about hype or just headlines. I'm talking about a move that shifts a culture, a winning team. So, Trill, let me start with you on this one.
Yeah, lots of moves during the offseason to kind of rebuild these franchises. There's always the quote-unquote winning formula of building through the trenches, starting with if you have very few picks in the draft, you need to trade back. You need to get as much capital as you can to start off young. And with the draft, it's always lottery picks. So you need to make sure you hit on those and do your homework.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. So do you think if you hit all these moves correctly, that's an automatic contention for like a contender?
It definitely helps. If you look at the success on a lot of teams, you talk about where did they hit in the draft or where did they hit in free agency. Because you talk about the Chiefs' success, obviously they didn't get the first quarterback in that draft. They got Patrick Mahomes. He sat behind Alex Smith, and then after he was developed, he got implemented into a winning formula. So it's all about drafting, developing, and basically having the right mindset within the whole front office.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think the Chiefs was an excellent example on that. But let me ask you this. What happens to those teams that don't get it right?
Yeah, they get set back. Of course, I would hate to use Miami as an example, but, twice within 6 years, we're doing another rebuild. And it's sad to say while you watch other teams in the division, like the Patriots, who have continued success, who kind of went through a very quick, accelerated rebuild, and they're already making playoff runs, playoff wins, and Super Bowl runs. So it's really about who you draft, honestly.
I couldn't agree more. Hey, Dylan, so let me flip this one to you. Throughout the moves that have been made right now during the free agency, can you give me a team that you think that are hitting on all cylinders right now at the very moment?
Well, I mean, recent news just happened. The Broncos, to me, are hitting on all cylinders. Last year they had a great run. Now they're picking up a guy like Jalen Waddle. I mean, these guys could make a Super Bowl run next year. So I'm going to go with the Broncos.
I hear that. That is definitely a good choice. I'll tell you who I'm going to keep my eye on. I'm going to keep my eye on those Baltimore Ravens. Considering all the controversy that went on with the Max Crosby thing, I think, like I say, I think they did the Raiders dirty. They managed to get their 2 draft picks back and sign Hendrickson. We'll see what happens if this doesn't pan out. So some teams are in urgency mode right now, right? If they're hesitant, if they make the wrong moves, there's going to be some consequences. Can you guys think of any teams right now that are in those dire need situations?
I mean, Miami's one. Dire need situation. Another team, the Raiders, I feel like are also in a dire need. But I feel like they have, the capital and everything they're doing to go in the right direction as well as the Dolphins. Those are the 2 teams that really stick out like a sore thumb to me that are in dire need of, rebuilding the culture and everything. So
I agree. I'll piggyback off that and add you some Arizona Cardinals. They're kind of doing the same rebuild that Miami's doing. It's sad to say they didn't hit with Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray looked like a home run. He looked like the dual threat that could play baseball and also be the all-star quarterback, and he just wasn't the winner. It didn't progress into the NFL, and with that, they have to hit reset, just like Miami's hitting reset on the failed Tua experiment. We went with a quarterback that blew out his hip in college and thought he would be able to, get over that mountain, which he never did. But, yeah, any quarterback-needy team really screams, hey, you better hit your quarterback right. But it's about when do you go for that big quarterback? Do you wait until you have that roster built before you get that selected quarterback, or do you put a rookie quarterback behind an offensive line that isn't ready and then he's running for his life and sets his development back? So I like what the Chiefs did. I think they had the right mold. But then again, they got a winner as a head coach. He came from Philly. He was already winning those championships, just not the Super Bowls.
I hear that. So sticking with quarterbacks for a second, but this time let's add in coaches and GMs. We usually know when a team's in dire situations, those are the top three that get most of the blame. Is there any teams right now that you guys think are in that situation where it could be a tough time for the GM, the coach, or the quarterback? I'm talking like a 0-4, 0-5 start. Is there anybody on the hot seat?
I'll take that first. The real question is, who is not? The offseason that we just had, the turnover in head coach, offensive coordinators, like it was insane, the turnover that we had. It was historical. What did we have? What was it, 20 out of 20 out of 32 offensive coordinators, I think it was, that changed up. And how many head coaches? It was at least 8, 10, something like that, 12. Like, it was ridiculous, the numbers of the turnover. So we have a lot of new faces. It's going to take at least until week 3, week 4 until I'm like, who's that coach? Who is he? He was he was a coordinator at what? Yep. So it's going to take a while because I've never seen this many turnover. It's like showing up the first day of school and you're the new student. Who are these people? So, yeah, we'll see. We'll know quickly. We'll know quickly who stands out and is getting these wins.
All right. And on that note, we'll keep this drive going. It's time for Dylan's Draft Watch. Dylan, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Guys, welcome back to Dylan's Draft Watch. I got 2 Huskies for you today that are lighting up the draft board. First off, I'm going to start with Ephesians Prysock, a 6'4" cornerback who ran a 4.46 40-yard dash at the combine. This guy has great skill, great height, great weight. Honestly, I think this is going to be a day 3 pick at the earliest, which is really good value for a day 3 pick. Jumping right over to his duo over there with the Huskies, which is the better of the two, in my opinion, on the draft boards. He's projected a second day pick right now, but Denzel Boston is an amazing receiver. Physical guy, another 6'3", 6'4" receiver, 215, get up there and catch a ball 50-50. I expect him to go day 1 now with a lot of stuff that's been happening. So that's Dylan's Draft Watch for today. Make sure you guys watch out for the 2 Huskies lighting up the draft boards this year.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. We will make sure we keep an eye out for those guys. Looks like we got 2 minutes left on the clock. So, as always, that means it is time for our 2-minute trill. Hey, Trill, what you got for us, bro?
All right, thanks. So, yeah, we got our 2-minute trill. Let's go ahead and see what headlines for today. I hope everybody was watching. I know it was a late game last night, but, man, that World Baseball Classic did not disappoint. If you were looking at the winner's side. So, USA, we did not get the win, but man, was it exciting late in the game. After 7 scoreless innings, Bryce Harper, he came through with a 2-run shot, tied the game with 1 inning to go, but unfortunately USA did not prevail. We lost to Venezuela. They had a dominating team. Their pitching staff was amazing. There was some controversy as to who should be pitching for USA, but we'll talk about that. On the flip side, Dylan, you did mention the trade with Waddle. As a Dolphins fan, I could talk about Waddle and the Dolphins all day. We're going to talk about these Broncos because is this the next step? If Bo Nix stayed healthy, were they winning the Super Bowl? Lots of questions to go on with that, as well as look at the wide receiving core. Cortland Sutton, Jalen Waddle, and, again, Troy Franklin. He went to Oregon with Bo Nix. They're college teammates, just like how Tua had Waddle. So with that wide receiving staff, that offense is explosive. But that's my 2 minutes. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Hey, Dylan, I know you watched that game last night. Give me some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Atrocious coaching. It was horrible. It was horrible. Mark DeRosa really shouldn't have, I think, been the coach for the USA baseball team this year with how he treated the whole entire tournament. You know, it came from starting with this guy didn't even know that we weren't clinched to go to the final bracket rounds yet, and so he decides to play, the backups on the team. I'm not saying the backups on the team are bad, but he didn't prepare our team to win that game. Luckily, we did, and we ended up getting to the final. But the problem I have the most with that game last night is Mark DeRosa in the 9th inning, just right after Bryce Harper ties the game, which, by the way, we were 8 for 46 in the last 46 at-bats before Harper hit that home run. We didn't have a runner in scoring position since the last game we played, all the way back in the 2nd inning. Now, when Harper hit that home run, electric. That might go down as the most forgettable home run in American history. Like, I'm telling you right now, like, the chills I got in my body when Harper hit that home run, and then DeRosa goes out there and throws Whitlock on the mound. When you got Mason Miller, one of the best closing pitchers in Major League Baseball, sitting there in the bullpen to get us to the bottom of the 9th, we don't use him. Unreal. I think it was terrible coaching. I think we could have went about that differently. And I think on the flip side, if Mason Miller comes out of that bullpen, I think we walk it off in the bottom of the 9th. I think the U.S. takes home gold. That's my opinion on that.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. I really do. Hey, Trill, I want to ask you something because you mentioned the Denver Broncos. We all know how far they made it last year. And if Bo Nix didn't get hurt, it's possible we're looking at Super Bowl champions right there. So do you think with the addition of Waddle and the other few pieces that they made during the offseason, do you think this is what they need to take them to the promised land?
I do. Again, it's all about you have to look at the surrounding teams, the surrounding matchup. Because you can always look at a roster, look head to toe, and say, okay, they got no holes. As of right now, I'm not seeing too many holes in Denver's roster. They have a very powerful, explosive offense. J.K. Dobbins, he's not top tier running back, but he is a receiving running back. He's kind of a broke man's HN. So I think he can carry the load. I think if they stay healthy, again, it was the Patriots. They were terrible. They had the easiest schedule, and that was their matchup with the backup quarterback. I think Bo Nix could have taken them on and maybe actually gave Seattle a competition in the Super Bowl.
Yep, I'm right there with you, bro. All right, so that's going to do it for this half. Give us some time to pay some bills, and we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the Game Tackle. All right, fellas, there's been some illegal procedures in the MLB, which leads us to the next flag on the play. Tonight's flag on the play may be a little controversial, but not for me. It's a no-brainer. We're talking Barry Bonds. Before we argue feelings, before we argue steroids, before we argue integrity of the game, let's talk facts. Barry Bonds is a Major League Baseball all-time home run leader. 762 to be exact. He holds the home run single season record. 73. He's the all-time walks leader. 2,558. Intentional walks, 688. 120 in a single season. He was intentionally walked with bases loaded sometimes. 7 MVP awards, the most in MLB history. 14 All-Star selections, 8 Gold Gloves, 12 Silver Sluggers. The one player in history with 500 home runs and 500 stolen bases. Now compare that to Hank Aaron, Babe Ruth, and Willie Mays. All legends, all Hall of Famers. Barry Bonds statistically passed them. So here's the uncomfortable question. If the steroid era was part of baseball, if the league profited, if the numbers count, why doesn't he? So Dylan, I want to bring you in right here. You were on your way to the majors before your injury. You lived in that grind. You were inside that culture. From a player's perspective, if Barry Bonds being left out justice, or is it rewriting history? If you were in that era and you see what's happening across the league, how do players judge greatness? Is it the numbers, fairness, or protecting the image of the game? Take us inside that world.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The numbers, man. I mean, in my opinion, is Barry Bonds. I mean, I don't believe he even started using him until like halfway to the end of his career, anyways. Right? This guy had 500 home runs before he even started supposedly using PEDs. Yes, he might have got popped for PEDs, but let me tell you something. PEDs as a baseball player. You know how many people I know in college shooting up PEDs that they're not so getting tested for? Let me tell you something, man. PEDs doesn't, I know it enhances your strength, it enhances the way you look. It doesn't enhance your swing. It doesn't enhance your technique, and it doesn't enhance your baseball knowledge. So 762 home runs for Barry Bonds, 100% should be in the Hall of Fame. If Pete Rose got in the Hall of Fame for betting on baseball, which is sad to say, after he passed is when they inducted him in, which is really messed up. We'll get to that in another time. But Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame, 100%.
I agree with you on that sentiment. And that's why they say conversations and controversy isn't always simple. Barry Bonds didn't just dominate, he changed the game. Pitchers feared him, managers feared him. The league profited from him. But when it comes to time to honor his history, they draw a line. The Hall of Fame is supposed to tell us the story of baseball. All of it. The good, the controversial, the complicated. You cannot tell that story without Barry Bonds. So when one of the most statistically dominant players ever is left out of the most sacred building, is that preserving history or editing it? Major League Baseball, you had the numbers, you had the era, you had the evidence, and you chose omission. MLB, you have committed a penalty, thus earning you a flag on the play. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the Gang Tackle, and thanks for sticking with us. It is time for the all-out blitz. So, fellas, tell me, what teams you think are winning the offseason right now?
I'm picking the Tennessee Titans. They spent over $90 million in free agency, picking up some big names like John Franklin Myers as well as Wan'Dale Robinson from the Giants. So is that going to be enough help that's going to help that young team and Cam Ward get over the hump to maybe be a playoff team next year? So I think they're winning right now.
And what about you, Dylan?
I'm going to go with a team in the NFC South. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. I think the Carolina Panthers had a good run last year, and they even added more depth to their roster by getting Jalen Phillips. I mean, not even just that. They even stacked up on some draft picks. So I think the Carolina Panthers are in a good spot, and I think they're trending in the right direction. I think they're winning the offseason.
All right. So now, Dylan, let me ask you the opposite of that question. We talked about who was winning. Who do you think's losing?
Ooh, that's tough. I mean, can I just say the Jets? The Jets are always losing anyways, right? I mean,
they got Minka.
You're right. Who's losing the offseason? Man, that's a tough question, really. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Cincinnati Bengals are losing the offseason. Letting someone go like Trey Hendrickson to a division rival, I think already speaks numbers on losing an offseason. So I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right. Hey, Trill, let me ask you this question. Give me one move a team's made that you think is probably overrated.
Overrated. I want to so bad say Kenneth Walker. So, Kenneth Walker, the only reason I say overrated is because you're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs, who we don't know if they are on a decline of their dynasty, but is the MVP of the Super Bowl going to change that around? Is it going to bring it back? But then again, their wide receivers, they keep getting arrested, off-season issues, or off-the-field issues, so Kelsey's on his last leg, literally signed his last contract. So that's why I say it's overrated, because everyone's saying Super Bowl MVP to a former Super Bowl team equals Super Bowl. I don't think they have the pieces to keep it going.
I hear you on that one. And with that being said, that's going to do it for us for this episode of The Game Tackle. We talked consequences, we talked pressure, we talk legacy. If you're rocking with us, make sure you like, subscribe, and share. For B-Trill, for Dylan, I am Donji, reminding you, never allow the pressure to get to you. You have to be the one to apply the pressure. And the only way you can do that is to blitz every down. We'll see you next time.